Hola mi gente, Joe Barreto back with you at the Credit Card Connection. I'm glad you can join me. Today's video came about a request from two friends of mine that for years have been trying to become US residents. And 3 weeks ago, their dream was realized. They became US residents. And they asked me, they said, Joe, now that we're residents, how can we go about building our credit? How can we go about, getting that first credit card? They have bank accounts, they have savings accounts that they've had through work, but getting a credit card is a little bit of a different animal per se. So in this video, I'm going to go over what I did, trying to help them out and trying to find out more information for them. And hopefully you guys can use this with friends or family members that might be in the same situation. So let's get into it. First and foremost, I had them go to the bank in which they have some sort of relationship with, which is Citibank in this case. Citibank took into account that they had a checking, they had a savings account, they had a debit card, but still Citi said, look, we have a Citi secured credit card that we can offer you. And for those of you that don't know, a secured credit card kind of functions kind of like a gift card or a debit card in terms that you need to put money up front first. So let's say $1,000, then you put spend on that and you pay it back, and you put spend on it and you pay it back. This way they can see that you are, credit worthy, let's say, because you're making a spend and then you're paying it back within a 30-day period. Now, for a lot of people, secured credit card just doesn't cut it, especially given the fact that the limits are going to be low. So we put a pause on that, and this morning, and it's Sunday, second week of August here, and I called American Express just to ask them if they had any cards or if they had any applications for people that did not have a social security number just yet, but are new residents to the US, and how they should go about it. The gentleman I spoke with, Michael, was super helpful, put me through to the credit bureau part, and they were very helpful. We went over the scenario. There were certain things they couldn't tell me because the person I was calling for wasn't there with me, but they understood what my concerns were. So what they told me was, they said, look, you can apply through, if it was American Express, with a checking or a savings account, and then from there we can put you into either a secured card that may or may not work for them, but if not, after a certain given time, then we can have them apply for one of our products like the American Express Blue Cash Every Day, and so on. So, it seems that the running theme for all this was you still got to do a secured card. However, there's a website called Nova, and Nova takes into account any accounts that you may have had internationally. So if you came from Ecuador or the Dominican Republic or Colombia, whatever transactions and whatever credits you had over there, they can contact those banking institutions, transfer that information to the US to see if you're credit worthy here in the US. So that's another option you have by going through Nova. Now, the problem is, let's say you did not have credit cards in the country that you came from at that point. So that really wouldn't apply for you. So what do you do? Well, the gentleman at American Express said, look, there are times that if you have a work ID number, that can maybe work for you, but nothing was set in stone. And, I understood where he was coming from, because he didn't want to give me any information that I might just say, okay, you said this, and he didn't want to put himself in that spot. So I totally respected that. So secured cards right now seems to be the way that most would go. Discover has a secured card. Most banks do. Capital One has one as well, the Quicksilver. But there's another way to get you into credit worthiness without a secured card. And that's by becoming, and I've spoken about this in the past before, and I'm going to put a link to that video down below, and you'll see that here on the side. And that's to be listed as an authorized user on one of your relatives' credit cards. Now, why that? Because you need to make sure that whoever gave you the authorized user status on their cards, that's going to report to the credit bureaus, okay? So you want to make sure that whichever route you take, you're going to have that particular card report to the credit bureau that you have been making payments, that you are credit worthy. You're also feeding off of the credit that that person that added you onto has. So if they have a 750 credit score and you're starting, at 0 or 500, I believe might be the lowest at this point, then you need to make sure that that's being reported to the credit bureaus. The history is there. You've been on for a certain amount of time. You're making the payments, and there's no late payments. Everything is on time. This way you can establish your own credit history, and then in 6 months to a year's time, you could apply for your own credit cards at that point. Now, American Express also said that the reason they wanted me to even inquire about their checking or savings account was because once you have an established relationship with any banking institution, it makes it easier for them to then take that and transfer it into a credit relationship that you'll have with them. So, for anybody that's a new resident, and I don't want to say if you're new to credit, because even if you're new to credit, and let's say you took out student loans or you had other things going on, or you were under your family's credit line over the past couple of years, it's different than somebody who's a new resident, because a new resident can come here at age 40 and now become a new resident and they're starting from scratch at 0. So it's a little tougher when you're 40 and you have all these other responsibilities and you're trying to figure out, how do I get to that next level? How do I get that credit extended to me so that I could either go into business, how I can get a loan, and so on and so forth. So first and foremost, what most people are saying, according to the research I've done, and I've looked at a ton of different resources online and making the phone calls as well, is a secured credit route. So if you do a secured card, you put the money up front, then they give you a card that you make purchases and pay back in time. And after 6 months or so, you can reach out to them and see if they'll extend you a credit line. The other way is to apply if you have some sort of a worker ID number, and go about it that way and apply online for that, or through Nova. And again, Nova is if you had a credit history in the country that you were coming from to the US, and then they will bring that banking information to see if it applies to here and if you're credit worthy. But I think the best one and the quickest one, and the one that might just give you the best turnaround time, would be being an authorized user on a relative's card. And it doesn't have to be a fancy, American Express Gold or Chase Sapphire Preferred. It could be a Discover It card. What you want to do is get your foot in the door first. So reach out to even the person, let's say, that petitioned you to come into the States. If they could add you as an authorized user to their card or one of their cards, that helps you build up your credit worthiness and will get you on your way to getting all the, credit history that you want and things, so that you can continue and prosper here in the US. If you find any of the information that I gave you in this video valuable, or at least a little entertaining, if you could pass it along to others that you feel might be able to take advantage of it as well. There are a lot of people out there that are afraid to ask these questions, and I'm hoping that this video helps them in the long run. Like always, thank you for watching. Until next time.